What's happening, everyone? I'm Jordan, and this is Front Run Tech, and we have an important update here on Bitcoin. So let's go ahead and get into it and take a look here at Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin on the weekly chart where I want to start out, and we were talking about this very important three-way level here on the Bitcoin weekly chart. So let's go ahead and give the update on what's going on here because it is rather important. So we know that Bitcoin a couple weeks ago came right into a test of this three-way level, which was the horizontal level of the previous cycle all-time high range. It was also the 200-week moving average here, and it was also the bottom support of this macro parallel channel, the yellow one. Okay, now Bitcoin last week did break down from all three of those levels pretty aggressively, which was, of course, not a good sign whatsoever. Um, but this current week, it's having a very nice week. It looks like this candle will, of course, be closing rather green. It's been a nice bounce, but really it's going to be very important to see what happens here over the next week or two in those weekly candles, because if this is simply kind of a relief bounce retest of the breakdown of these levels, and over the next couple weeks all that happens is a rejection here and then not able to get back above, that's really going to confirm that breakdown and confirm that Bitcoin might be in some more trouble here for the short to medium term, at least. All right. Now, if Bitcoin over the either this candle or maybe one of the next two candles can recover back above these levels, then that would be considered just a fake out. And recovering back above those levels would actually be ultra bullish, and it would be a sign of a big reversal, because these fake outs, these fake breakdowns, even fake breakouts that fail tend to be signs of big reversals the other way. So we're kind of at a very critical point here, especially with the big bounce this week coming right back up to the levels. We're at a critical point here on the Bitcoin weekly chart where one of two things is going to happen. Bitcoin is either going to continue up and it's going to reclaim these levels. If that happens, then it looks very good. Or Bitcoin is going to get rejected and it's not going to be able to reclaim the levels, and we're going to be looking at a real breakdown of those levels. All right. Again, in which case I would definitely be preparing for a strong possibility that we have some more pain ahead in that scenario. All right. Now, to get a better view on what this bounce this week actually means or could look like, let's go look at the Bitcoin 8-hour chart. All right. This is the Bitcoin 8-hour chart. And you can see here that Bitcoin has been putting in just these slightly lower lows and then bouncing. And coming off the most recent low put in, it's bouncing pretty nicely here. And it just has not been able to get any juice whatsoever on taking these lows to really waterfall into a next leg down. And of course, I did a video a little while back when the low was taken shortly after, showing that the price action of a bear market low being taken, if you look at this bear cycle and the last previous bear market, that this one was not behaving like another leg down was coming. All right, and I showed that and went through every single time in this bear market and the last bear market when the low of a bear market was actually taken, and I showed that when there was a next leg down, you never saw this type of price action for Bitcoin. It was kind of like the low was taken and it really would just waterfall into a next leg down. This, of course, seems to be looking much more like bottoming behavior, all right? But obviously, it could be different this time. As far as when I say bottoming behavior, That's just probabilities based on charts. Doesn't mean that it has to happen, but this does look pretty good right now. You can see this kind of descending wedge coiling, which is a bullish pattern, and this tends to look more like how bottoms are formed as opposed to another leg down, but we'll have to see. All right. The main thing would be, of course, you'd want to see a move up to the resistance trend line of the wedge, and then you'd want to see a strong breakout, and that would be a great sign, of course. All right. um Another thing I like to do sometimes is if you just invert it and you look at it like this, you can see that this kind of looks eerily similar to the Bitcoin top in 2025, where you kept having the slightly higher highs, all-time highs, but you could not get any juice behind it to push into the next leg up. And then that final high was set, and then it really just fell quickly back below. And then that was a sign that the top was in, and there was not going to be another leg up. All right. So it does look very similar to that if you invert it. So overall, if we look at the 8-hour here, this could be telling us that there is a pretty high probability that if we come back to the weekly chart, that this weekly chart continues up. Possibly, I would say based on the 8-hour chart, it's a higher probability than not that Bitcoin is able to reclaim these major levels. And then once that happens, this weekly chart would be looking amazing, right? But that has not happened yet. And until that does happen, it doesn't look amazing. It looks bad still on the weekly chart until that occurs. All right. And matter of fact, as I'm making this video, Bitcoin continuing to rise. It's now it's cracked 63.3. So the interesting thing is, I mean, technically, Bitcoin could reclaim it. If it closes where it's at now, it's going to reclaim the 200 week. That alone would be huge. If it goes a little bit higher, it could reclaim the bottom of the channel, which if that happens, that's basically a full reclaim. Because this, I would consider this a hold of the horizontal level if the other two levels are reclaimed. But anyways, this is kind of the update for Bitcoin and where we're at now. We've still got a lot of iffiness going on. Things could really break either way, at least here on the charts. So yeah, we'll go ahead and leave it there for now. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and subscribe to the socials. If you're here on YouTube, you can find them in the description of the video. Thanks, everybody.